Okay. So let me just brief you what we have done in the previous session and what was given in the homework. So first of all, I told you to add the dots in the malas, right? And basically these are white dots which you were supposed to add. You can see that the work is still pending. Once after the dots were given in the malas, you were supposed to create the tonal difference in the ornaments. So we have given the golden yellow color as a base, and you were supposed to give orange, some of the strokes and create the blending from yellow, golden yellow to orange in all the ornaments, in all the areas where you see golden yellow color, right? So that was your task for the last, which was given as a homework. Once after the blending is supposed to be done, you were supposed to add the outlining in the whole subject, right? So you can see the outlining is done in my subject, and it is looking quite, finished and detailed, right? So outlining is very important, and remember that this is your, final outlining. After this, we are not going to retrace the lines, or we are not going to do any sort of layering on top of it. So this is your final outcome. So please remember that you you give the outlines properly. Okay. Select the tools and mediums accordingly. If you are not really comfortable with acrylic color, switch to a permanent marker. Right. So that was the task. Now in today's session, we are planning to yeah, somebody in the group, somebody said that you want to see a small demo of coloring the cow. So I'll give you a small demo in the class, which is not a very big issue, because the same tutorial video is given in the main folder. Just the position of the cow is different. Apart from that, everything remains the same, right? So that I'll give you a small demo. After that, we will start working on the crown. We will add dots in the crown, these around these spirals, and we will add dots in all the ornaments wherever you see golden yellow color, even in the vaga. That is the major task for today. Let's see how much we are able to complete. Okay. So let us start with the cow. Let me give you a small demo for the cow. So first of all, I have created a base by mixing burnt sienna color and white. Okay, I mixed these two colors and formed another tone, which is a very light tone of burnt and white, and I have applied it in the whole shape of the cow. Right. So students, no matter which shape you are working on, instead of a cow, if it is a peacock or if it is another element of pitch white, the technique of coloring will remain the same. Okay, so you always have to mix the colors accordingly and form a mid-tone first and apply it in the whole base. If you're able to see the outlines, that is very good. If not, you may trace the lines again, like I did here. Okay, tracing is done one more time. After that, you have to select one tone higher than the mid-tone. Okay, that is darker than the middle tone. All of you, please mute yourselves. Who is this? All of you, please mute. Yeah. So you have to first form a darker middle tone, or you may use a diluted form of the color. For example, here there are two colors with which we are going to color. So one is white and one is burnt color, right? So we formed a mid tone and then we have applied it in the whole shape. Now we are going to take one tone dark. We are going to dilute it. थोड़ा सा आप उसमें पानी ऐड कर लीजिए. Why we are diluting it? Because we want to see the outlines, right? We don't want to hide the outlines. Hence, we are diluting it. According to the shape and according to the size of your element, you have to select the brush. Now, initially, I will work with a big brush, which will cover more area. So I'm selecting this brush and I'm going to work around the outlines. You can also look for the reference image and figure out which all areas are dark and which all areas are light. Right now, I'm using a big brush and working around the outlines. This is not the final outcome, right? You can observe that I'm working on a bigger space right now. Okay. You may try and create the blending effect in between the base and the second layer that you're applying right now. So try to blend these two tones by moving your brush multiple times, or you may use your wet on dry technique. So the base is already wet. Now, sorry, dry. Yeah, wet on dry technique. So the base is already dried. Now I'm working with wet medium. This is the same technique which we've used in the face. Okay. Try to blend it. Move your brush according to the shape. Like this, you can move. You have to figure out here that which all areas are supposed to be dark and which all areas needs to be light. Don't think anything as of now, just apply this tone around mostly all the outlines. If you feel that the tone is very, very light, you may apply another layer once after the first layer dries. Okay. To increase the number of tones, we will usually apply 2 to 3 layers. So this is your first layer. Okay. And the cow doesn't look very finished. It's having only 2 tones. One is mid tone and one is darker middle tone. Okay. Now we are in the process of adding more finishing touches by using a fine liner brush. This time you can take a little darker color. So add a little bit of burnt. धीरे धीरे आप टोन्स को डार्क करते जाएंगे and the stroke length, or I would say the width of the strokes, will be reduced. Now this time you have to work very close to the outlines. If needed, you can also use a deerfoot stippler and try to blend the stroke, which is very close to the outline like this. Okay, that is possible. This way you have to do the finishing. Let me complete the eye. Below the eye, it should be comparatively darker. Above the eye, again, you can use brown color like this. This is just a demo. You can also play with different strokes like this. According to the tones, you may add the strokes. For example, just below the face of the cow, you can give some strokes. Slowly increase the tone, go to darker tone, and you can create the finishing touches like this. Once the burnt sienna color is fully used, you may switch to another color. For example, in the ornaments, you may use another color and add details. Now that color selection can be done according to your preference. The final color which we will use for outlining, that will be black. Okay, so let me show you how we will be using black color for adding the details. Yeah, I'm using black color now. You may dilute it a little bit. Use black. If not directly black, then mix black and burnt together to form a tone. And do the finishing. See, finishing is very, very important in your painting. I have seen students who are trying to complete the painting very soon. The time will not matter a lot. You have to focus on the finishing touches. It's okay if it is taking a little more time. Observe your shapes wherever you think you need to make changes. Now at this stage, you may give some of the strokes on top of the areas. Later we will add the golden effect here. We can also add some more ornaments. We can also add some dots, right? So basically this part seems to be a little finished. Okay, here we are still working. If the brush strokes are visible, For example, here you can see that the base I have created with the lighter tone, and the below it there is a darker tone, right? So you will be able to see these kind of brush strokes. So in that case, you may switch to a lighter color. For example, you may take a little bit of white. Okay, use your deerfoot stippler kind of a brush and try to hide this. This can be done with Kit Pass crayons also. If you do not want to make it too highlighted, then instead of white, you can take a mid tone of, lighter middle tone of burnt and white, and try to hide these brush strokes. Although the darker tone is only given in this area, it's still pending here. So once after it is completed, it will look, although it's not fully completed though, it will look somewhat like this. Once after the outlining is done, darker tone is given, it will look like this. Okay. So accordingly, you have to finish your work. Are there any questions about this? Please let me know.
Karan, is the cow sitting on a leaf or something?
Yeah, not a leaf, but you can create more of an ashen sort of a thing on which the cow is sitting. So that bottom area you can color with burnt sienna, or it can be a darker tone of burnt, right? So this area, I'm yet to finish.
The
I'll need
front
to.
leg,
Hmm.
yeah. And the
Once I
front
finish
leg
this
also
now,
is not finished. I mean,
yeah.
does it come?
Once I finish the cow, I'll send you the image just to know how it will look finally. Okay.
Okay.
Right. So that was all about the Kamdenu cow in a sitting position. The coloring techniques remains the same. Only the shape of the cow is different. Now we are going to work on the crown. Okay. So for that you need these many colors. We will start with black. So take black color in your palette. Add a few drops of water. If you have, see, the pigment which I am using is a slightly concentrated, as it's a quite old bottle. But if you're using a new bottle of Fevicryl color, then you do not need to add water. Directly the pigment will work. The consistency of the color should be oil or honey kind of consistency. Okay. Not too concentrated at the same time, not too diluted. Once the color is formed, you have to use a dotting tool and start adding the dots in the crown. First of all, selection of the tool. So we are looking for say 3 mm to 4 mm size of the dots, right? So accordingly, you need to place and select the tool. So first of all, we will give the size of the painting that I am working on is comparatively smaller than yours. Okay, so the tool is also smaller, but in your case, it can be nearly 2 to 3 mm max. The size of the dot should be 2 to 3 mm max. So observe this carefully. If you're confused, you may practice the dotting on a rough piece of paper just to understand what should be the size of the dot, and then select any one accordingly. I'm using this tool, which is more of a, there is a sphere at the end. So this tool I'm using. I'm going to take black acrylic color in my tool, and I'm going to give some dots on a rough piece of paper first, just to check whether the consistency is proper. If the color is flowing too much, that means it is quite liquidy kind of a consistency, which is not a good choice. So you need to make a proper color by adding a little more pigment. This is flowing a lot, that means it is too diluted. The dots will spread if we use this color. Okay, so oil or honey kind of consistency should be used. Yeah, this seems good now. So first of all, take the color in your dotting tool. Okay, your dotting tool should be fully dipped in the color, right? You may also check it out on a rough paper, how the dot is and what is the size of it. You start from extreme bottom section and give one dot. Remember that the dot is going to be spreaded. Once after you apply a little pressure, it is going to spread and increase its size, right? So remember that you need to leave a little tolerance area, because if it spreads a lot and if it is too close to the previously given dot, it will merge, which we don't want, right? The dot should not merge with each other, and it should not merge with the main line. Okay. When you're looking for a same size dot, you need to take the color every single time and print one dot. Take the color once and print it. once, like this. Be very close to your canvas and observe the size of the dot. If it is spreading a lot, then you need to clean your tool. See, if you have given multiple dots using the tool, you will feel that you will find out that the color is settling on the tip, okay, which is not a good thing. It will increase the size of your dot. So remember to clean the tool after 10-15 dots like this. Okay, once you clean the tool, it will give you the same size of the dot which you have started with. Now, as we come close to the center of our spiral, we need to reduce the size of the dot. So from this, I've taken the color once and I'm going to print multiple times in order to reduce the size of my dot. Okay. Remember that you must leave some space between two dots and even the line, the spiral and the dot. Okay. When I'm looking for the same size of the dot, I will take the color once and print it once. Dotting is a type of printing. Okay, we are using a tool and we are printing the dot like this. Continue this process. Max to max, you can print twice. Take the color once and print twice. You can always increase the size of the dot, but reducing the size of it is not, I would say, very convenient and possible. So usually we start with the small size of the dot and then increase the size of it if required. Don't force yourself to, work around the spiral and add the dot there. If the space is not allowing you to add the dot, don't do that, right? You may skip that area. Let me just show you how. For example, we have added the dot around this line. Okay, so now there is hardly any space in around this curve. If we add the dot here, it will merge. Okay, so in that case, what you can do, you can switch to a smaller tool and add some dots there, because you may fit in a very small dot. So switch to a very fine tool. And slowly increase the size of it. Maintaining the symmetry is very important. So whatever you're doing on one side, please try to maintain the same thing on the other side. Now this got merged. It's okay, it's fine. Later, we will add a yellow line in between these two dots. Okay. So do not panic in such situation where two dots are merging with each other. And we are not allowed to, clean it up right now, because if we try to clean it up, the whole thing will be a big mess. Okay. So don't panic. Later, once it dries, we will add a yellow line in between these two dots. Right. Let me quickly finish one side of it and then I will add another color dot. Remember that you're placing your hand in a way that you're not, merging with the previously given dots, which are not fully dried yet. So be very careful. That's why we usually start from the top area, top left area, and we usually go to bottom right. Okay, this is how you're supposed to add the black dots in the crown. Once after the black dots are added, you may use your fine liner brush. Your fine liner brush can be used to connect these dots with the main line. If you wish to keep only the dots, then it's fine. But If you're planning to connect them with the main line, then this is the process. Use your fine liner brush, take black acrylic color in your brush, and connect the dots with the main line using this curved line. A very little amount of color should be taken. Remember that the angle at which I'm connecting is quite curvy. It's not a straight line. Okay. I have seen students creating a perpendicular angle when they're connecting the dots. Not a good choice. Okay. If you wish to go for a different shape or a different motif, that is totally fine. You're allowed to do so. This is quite easy to understand. Hence, we have selected this shape and this motif. If the dot is not dried yet, you don't have to take the color again and again. Like this. If in the center, if there is some space, instead of a dot, if you wish to just give one stroke, that is also fine. In order to utilize the blank space, you can give some strokes also. For example, here, I can give some strokes. But whatever you're doing on one side, try to replicate and repeat on the other side, right? That is the I think that is the main thing which you must follow, because this is a symmetrical motif that we're working on. So maintain the symmetry. So this was all about black colored dots. Now it's time to switch the color to white. As there is a lot of negative space around this motif, you can see that there is a lot of yellow, a lot of orange color is visible, right? So in order to break that I would say contrast, let us add maybe one more color here in the blank space. That will be white. Okay, so let's add white color dots. Again, form a good consistency by mixing it with white if needed. Sorry, white and water. The consistency of the color should be oil or honey kind of consistency. I'm going to use the similar size of the dotting tool. And I'm going to start from here. This size is comparatively smaller though. You may overlap the dots if you have made any mistakes before. You may overlap the dots and try to modify the size and the position. Like this. When you're looking for multiple sizes, then you have to take the color once and print it multiple times. Like this. Are there any questions about this? Majorly, we will focus on two colors in the crown, black and white, although you are allowed to select more colors if you want. So this is how your crown is completed. Only the center portion, the middle portion is completed. Here we are supposed to add the peacock feathers. For the peacock feathers, you're supposed to use a bigger dot and you must place it near the line. Over here, you must place a dot right over here. See, there are three different dots in the peacock feather. First is the biggest dot, which is the burnt sienna color. The second is a slightly smaller dot than the first one. That is nothing but a mixture of white and Prussian blue, a light tone of Prussian blue and white. And the last and the smallest dot will be only Prussian blue. Okay, so three sizes should be used and three colors should be used. So the first color which we are supposed to use is the burnt sienna color, which is the biggest dot. You have to allow these dots to dry and then apply the overlapping dots. So I have given these dots beforehand so that it is dried now, and now we will add another layer. For the second layer, you must mix white and Prussian blue to form a very light tone of Prussian blue, white and Prussian blue to form a very light tone of these two colors, lighter than the middle tone. Once the color is formed, you can select a comparatively smaller dotting tool than the first dot, and it shouldn't be concentric. Okay, the dot is slightly towards this line. It's not exactly in the center of the first dot. So somewhere over here. कॉन्सेंट्रिक नहीं है ये डॉट, थोड़ा सा नीचे की तरफ आपको प्लेस करना है इसे. It can be even bigger than this. This size seems to be very, very small. So I'm going to switch to another dotting tool and I'm going to overlap this dot to make a slightly bigger size. The same process should be used for Prussian blue dot. On top of this, we are supposed to add a Prussian blue dot, which is again smaller than the light color, okay, middle tone. So this is the process for the peacock feather. Later, we will add more lines around it. I'll show you how. Finally, once your dots are added, it will look somewhat like this. Here you can observe that there are three different colored dots and three different sizes. Once after the strokes are added, it will look somewhat like this, which we will do tomorrow. Adding the strokes will be done tomorrow. Okay. Once you complete the whole crown with all the dots, it will look somewhat like this. Okay. Now it's time to start working on the ornaments. So there are two major colors in the ornaments. First is red and the second color is green. So these are the two major colors which we are going to use for coloring the ornaments. You may use your fine liner brush and color the shapes. You can use your reference image to understand which color is added where. Okay, so if you observe here, this particular oval is colored with red. Always start from upper left corner and move to lower right if you're a righty, and vice versa for a lefty person, right? Take one color, start with red, take one color and complete all the sections where you're supposed to add red. Okay, in all the ornaments, there are some or the other shapes which should be colored red. These are nothing but, I would say, diamonds or gems which we are coloring right now. You can either fill color line to line or you may leave some space if you want. Take one color at a time and complete the filling in all the areas.
Karan, is that crimson?
Yeah, it's crimson red. You may use scarlet red or any other shade of red. That's totally fine.
Sir, will it be okay if we use metallic colors?
Yeah, it's fine. See, remember that you're working on a golden yellow base, right? So if you use a metallic gold color or metallic silver color, please visualize whether at the end it is going to give you a contrasting colors, contrasting tones, because you're going to look at your work from distance, right? So if there's the contrast is not there, then you won't be able to see these gems properly. That's why we're using red and green, because these are quite highlighting colors. That is the only reason, although you may select any color which you want. Now I'm switching to green and I'm coloring these sections with green. Remember that you have to select any 2 to 3 colors for these gems and color them all together. Once after the coloring is done, you may switch to white color and add the dots around these shapes.
So now that is dark green.
Yeah, this is dark green color. You may use sap green also, but dark green will look
How
much better as a
Emerald
gem.
green?
Sorry,
Emerald green.
emerald green is also fine. Yeah, that is also fine. Sap green is already taken in the background, so I'm not using the same green color. Instead, I'm using dark green color. This is Fevicryl dark green color.
So can we use blue color?
You may use any other
Because
color
blue
can be
shades are
used.
also there, so can we?
You can use. Now, how to create multiple tones in these gems, right? As of now, it's quite two dimensional. How do we create the tones? How do we create the depth in your shapes, right? In order to create the depth, you must form a mid tone of that particular color. For example, white and red will mix together to form a mid tone. Form a mid tone of that color, and first of all, allow it to dry. इसको अच्छे से सूखने दे, and add that mid tone in the same shape but smaller in size. Okay, in the same manner. Here the shape is slightly different. If you want a smooth transition, once after you apply the color, use another brush, another dry brush, and try to blend the color. It will help you getting a smooth transition between the colors. See, this is not dried yet, hence it will not allow me to blend. So allow your color to dry and then apply this layer. So right now you're able to see two different tones in one section, right? One is purely red color, one is a middle tone. Now if you wish to still increase the number of tones, you may take more of white, less of red, and form a highlighted tone, or you can say lighter middle tone, right? And add that tone in again in smaller in size, add that tone in the same shape. Hence, when you look at it from distance, you will see that there is a three-dimensional effect. It's not dried yet, hence I'm not able to blend it properly. But you have to allow your layers to dry and then apply the next layer. The same thing is possible with the dots. You may select a big size dot with red, then go for a middle tone and go for a smaller size dot and exactly place the dot on top of it just to create multiple tones. But the color will be slowly going towards the highlighted tone. First will be the darkest tone, the biggest dot, middle tone with the smaller size dot, highlighted tone, again a smaller size dot. Okay. So this is how you're supposed to add the two major colors in the ornaments, red and white, red and green, sorry. Now, in these areas, if you have given some outlines, then fine. Otherwise, you can directly give the dots by leaving some space for green dots. Like this. Dotting should be done in a way that your tool is perpendicular to the surface. The consistency of the color is proper, and the size of the dot is also according to your requirement, right? So this will come slowly, and you will have to practice some of the dots on a rough piece of paper. I think you've already done it because you've started working on the malas. Now I'll work on another color that is green, and I will give some of the dots. Remember that you have to allow your layers to dry. जल्दबाजी में काम मत कीजिएगा. Allow your layers to dry. Leave enough space between two dots so that you can fit in two red dots, so that you can fit in one green dot there. Later, I will add white dots around it. That will be very tiny shape, tiny size. That is mostly like a nano micro dots. Not nano, but micro dots, very small. Like this. Okay. Now let me show you how you're going to complement these green dots and green dots and red dots by adding some of the white dots. So I'm using a dotting tool which looks more like a needle. This dotting tool is more like a needle kind of a size. I'm going to start the dots around these shapes. You can either play with multiple sizes or you can take any one size. If the space is not allowing you to fit in a dot there, don't forcefully do that. Okay, जगह है तो आप ऐड कीजिए, वरना मत कीजिए. For example, here I don't have a space to add a dot, so I will skip that area and I'll work here. Because if you overlap the dots, then it might not give you the same effect. Make sure that you're placing your hand very carefully. For example, these dots are still wet. Okay, तो अगर मैं यहाँ पे गलती से हाथ रख के जब मैं यहाँ पे काम कर रहा हूँ, I might, create a mess over here. So in that case, you may rotate your canvas and place your hand over here, because here the dots are already dried. तो आप यहाँ से काम कीजिए यहाँ पे, instead of working from here to here, right? Be very, very careful, because dots को सूखने में time लगेगा. Like this. Now it's up to you that how many dots you want to give, what is the size of the dot you want to give. It's totally up to you, right? आप जितने चाहे उतने dots दे सकते हैं, जो भी चाहे color आप ले सकते हैं. It's totally your choice, right? My job was to teach you how to give the dot and what are the do's and what are the don'ts, right? बाकी अब आपकी मर्जी, आप जितना मर्जी चाहे उसमें dots दीजिए. Dots can be also used to hide your mistakes which you've done using the acrylic colors. जब आप blending करते वक्त कहीं पे कुछ गलती हो जाती है, so in that case you can also hide those mistakes by overlapping the dots on top of it. Even in the eyes, you may give 2 dots of very tiny size on the right side of the eyeball, like this. In the ears, you may give certain dots, multiple sizes. अब आपको कौन सी डायरेक्शन में देना है वो आप डिसाइड करेंगे.
Karan,
Yes.
have you given multiple tones in the eyeball?
Yeah, not multiple tones, but just one stroke of light gray, light gray. Just one stroke in the middle.
So, do you think for the blue face we should do that light blue?
Light blue.
shade? Okay.
Yeah, light blue. Light blue will do. If the consistency of the color is too diluted, then there are chances that the color will, not the color, but the dots will merge with each other. Okay, ऐसा हो सकेगा कि अगर आपका जो consistency है वो बहुत ज़्यादा diluted है, if there is a lot of water, it might, if the dots are too close with each other, it might merge with each other. So उस time पे थोड़ा आप ध्यान रख के उसको थोड़ा thick consistency बना सकते हैं आप. Okay, by adding more of the pigment. Are there any questions about dotting?
I guess it will take some practice for us. I mean, for the new beginners for dotting.
Of course, it will take time. See, you will have to understand the process, also understand your medium along with your tool. Once you understand your medium and the tools, it will be very easy for you. See, you won't believe that all of these dots are given in the morning. I woke up early at 7 o'clock, and within just 1 hour, I have given all of these dots. So, and even I've even colored the cow. So once after you are confident enough, you already know that this is the right consistency, this is the right tool, तो फिर आप जल्दी से काम खत्म कर पाएंगे, right? It will not take much of a time. So this is how you're supposed to add the dots in mostly all the ornaments. Red and green dots are the major colors, and white dots are supposed to be added around it just to create a complementing effect, right? If the shapes are not circular, you may use a brush and color the dots or color those shapes. Now let me color these shapes with red. I would suggest that you select any one color and add it in the whole पेंटिंग. मान लीजिए कि आप रेड सेलेक्ट करते हैं तो रेड से आपके पूरे पेंटिंग में जितने भी एरियाज हैं सारे आप रेड से कंप्लीट कर लीजिए. उसके बाद आप ग्रीन कलर लीजिए, फिर ग्रीन से पूरा का पूरा काम कंप्लीट करके देन यू स्टार्ट विद द व्हाइट डॉट. ओके, सो उससे क्या होगा कि आपका कलर पैलेट में सूखेगा नहीं एंड इट विल बी मच क्लियर फॉर यू कि भाई मुझे रेड से ही काम करना है. जहां जहां मुझे रेड चाहिए वहां मैं ऐड करके उसके बाद ग्रीन में स्विच करूंगा. You have this opportunity to improvise those shapes. If the shape of that particular dot or maybe say oval is not proper, you may overlap it with that particular color and with the brush and you can modify it. Some of the dots will be added around the red dots. So let me show you how you can create multiple sizes around these shapes. So I'll start from here. Size will reduce. Again, I'll start from here. This is very tiny dot. Okay. Now it's up to you that how much you wish to give. आप जितना चाहे इसमें काम कर सकते हैं because there are a lot of possibilities in adding the dots in different ways. You may go for multiple sizes, you may go for multiple shapes, multiple colors can be selected. बहुत कुछ हो सकता है इसमें, right? When the shape is different, you may use your brush and fill it. Allow the first layer to dry and later you may create three-dimensional effect in all of these gems by adding one tone lighter and reducing the size of it, right? You can also give some of the tiny dots using the tools which are very close to a needle kind of a tool. उस type के छोटे tools आप use करके you can give some tiny dots in the flowers. Go for multiple sizes. It will create a very good impression overall. Start with the big dot close to the flower bud, and as you go towards the twig, will be reducing its size. So as I was mentioning that there are immense possibilities with the dots. It's just a matter of time and practice and a little bit of thinking. Now you can also add some dots around those shapes which you have given. So the dots will come in the background and it will work as a connecting tool. Okay, ये जो आप dots add कर रहे हैं, it will work as a connecting thing which will connect your subject with the background. So let's see how.
Karan, one
White
doubt.
color. Yes, ma'am.
In the crown, you have used
Hmm.
black and white mainly for dotting.
Yes.
Can we use red and green as you're showing, like, alternatively?
Yeah,
Will it be too
possible.
much?
See, in the crown, I think any dark color will look good because once you complete your painting, at the end, when you are looking your painting from distance, I think black will be much more highlighting color than red and green. So that is the only reason we have selected. But you can select any one color instead of both.
Okay.
Maybe say green color can be done as black and red can be used instead
Yeah,
of white.
yeah.
Yeah. Mm.
Okay.
It's possible. Anything is possible. Once you are confident enough and you are able to visualize it, you can surely go for it. So this way, some of the dots, some of the shapes can be given around your flowers, around your elements, and it will work like a complementing, not complete, so connecting tool, which will help you connect with the background. Okay, so it will look pretty good. Let me show you how once it is fully completed. Yeah, over here you can observe that these dots are given. Okay, like this. Around the eyes, around the tilak, you may add multiple dots. Even in the ornaments, you may add multiple sizes of dots. Here, which I was mentioning, you can go for a lighter tone and overlap the dot. So it will look more like this. So we have started with dark green color. We have taken light green or middle tone of green, selected a smaller size dotting tool and overlap the big dots. It will look like this. Okay.
And in the
So
mala
this,
ornament, you've
and
used two tones.
you're talking about this?
Yeah, gray and
That
white.
that we will do once we start using kit pass crayons. It's not done with acrylic colors, it's done with kit pass crayons.
Okay.
But yeah, one thing I would like to mention here, see, this is the first time I'm using this ultra fine grain canvas because I recently came to know about it, and you can see the effect is quite different. You're able to, work with fine lines. The quality of the lines are also very good. So this canvas is, I think, a very good thing which I have came across in a recent time. So if somebody wish to explore this surface, this canvas, you can let me know. I do have some extra canvases, the ones which we purchase from the market, that is medium grain, right? And this one which I'm working on is ultra fine grain and quite smooth canvas. The only drawback about this canvas is that applying the color is the first layer of applying the first layer is a bit difficult. बाकी उसके बाद जब आप दूसरा तीसरा लेयर करते हैं, it becomes very very easy. So when I was coloring the sap green in the background, it was quite difficult for me. I have applied 3 layers of sap green here, but once after the first layer is completed, then the second, third, fourth layers are very very effective. So yeah, you may explore if you
Okay,
want.
you mean to say our normal canvases that we are working in, even after multiple coats, it still looks grainy in some parts of.
Yeah, that's right.
Okay.
Okay, so this is how you're supposed to add the dots. I have only given the dots in this area, and you can see that the final look will be somewhat like this once you add the dots. Okay. Let me show you some of the dots over here as well.
Sir,
Yes.
why first layer is difficult to apply on your canvas? I mean, what
Because the medium is such. See, this canvas is not made for painting. It's made for printing. Okay. So
Okay.
the surface is having some sort of a powder. The priming is done in a way that it is not too sticky and the surface is not too rough. Okay, so that is why I think technically that might be the reason that it is not allowing our acrylic color to settle on it very easily. That might be the technical reason, but I'm not sure. So once after the first layer is done, the second layer is very very easy to apply.
Okay.
So, but the final outcome is very very, I would say, satisfying. If we compare it with the medium grain, the final outcome is really very satisfying. So I'm working with a needle kind of a tool using white acrylic color, and I'm dealing with multiple sizes of the dots. I will start from the center of the shape and follow the line in a curved manner. Take the color again, start from this area, again follow the line. So these are some minute details which will look very beautiful once your painting is completed. Like this. In the same manner, you can add some dots here. You can play with multiple colors. White and red color dots can be given. Okay. The most important part for today's class is to add the dots in the vaga of Bhagwan, right? The feet, both the feet and the ornaments can be done as your homework, this part, because यहाँ पे भी आपको same तरीके से red dots यहाँ पे देने हैं in the gems. Red and green you may go for 2 colors or any 1 color, and then around it you may add white dots. Okay, that is the easiest thing which we have learned today. So adding the dots first with red and green, and then white.
Karan,
around it.
a doubt.
Yes.
Okay, behind these dots of mala that you have given,
Hmm.
we have just created the shade of vaga, right?
You're talking about this, yeah? Yes,
Yes.
that's right.
And below all the shades that we have created, there was still a little bit of space left.
Yeah, so
Okay,
that
you
is
didn't
burnt
color
sienna.
it with anything, no? Like it is
Yeah.
just the burnt
Yeah,
sienna
it's the
only.
burnt.
Okay.
Yeah, that's right. We haven't colored anything here. It's the
Okay.
burnt color as it is. Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, now I'm adding the dots in the Vaga of Bhagwan. Here you're allowed to make changes. Here you're allowed to create a different motif if you want. Instead of dots in the same line, you may go for a different shape, right? It's your choice.
You mean to
So-
say create flowers with the
Yeah,
dots or
yeah.
some
Anything can
teardrops
be
here?
done. Yes, anything can be done. Then you may eliminate the dots. Instead, you may add the flowers or maybe some random geometrical shapes. Like somebody asked, to give a demo for the background. No, so those kind of geometrical shapes can be added here. It can be leaves. It can be just spiral shapes, or it can be dots. Anything you may change. So I'm showing a very simplest way of doing the dots, and again, it's going to be multiple sizes. So select a medium sized dot first and start from this section, and you have to move your dotting tool towards this slant line. Okay, so basically there are 2 colors which we are working with, white and red. Just a
Or
second.
can we create this polka dot effect with golden color probably?
See, the same thing I would mention here, that the golden color might not create a very good impact on golden yellow. Okay, so imagine and visualize the final outcome. Golden color, it looks very beautiful as it is, but if you apply it on a golden yellow color, will it create that impact? If not, then you may select the color accordingly. I think on golden yellow, golden color won't
Gold
look
color
good.
will not.
So yeah, let me start with a red color dot. Try to maintain the direction. Sometimes you can also rotate your canvas in a way that the direction of giving the dots becomes easy for you. Leave a little space for white dots. So here white dot will come. So I'll add red over here. Even the dotting is much, much better on this ultra fine grain canvas. On a rough green or a medium grain canvas, अब इतने ज़्यादा डॉट नहीं मिलते आपको. Max to max 4 to 5 dots you get, and then you have to take the color again. So I have observed that even dotting is much better on this surface. Now I'm selecting white color and I'm giving some of the dots. You must clean your dotting tool properly if you're using the same tool for different color. If you're confused and you're not ready to work directly because you have to maintain this direction of the dots, you may place your scale or you may draw slant lines with pencil first and then add the dots, because here the direction and the angle at which you're placing it will make a good impression overall. Now you may select again a smaller dotting tool, because now this time you have the size of the shape is comparatively smaller, right? So use a smaller dotting tool and add the dots. Although the pigment, you have to reduce the amount of pigment also, otherwise it will be the same. One more good advantage about this canvas, that as this is a fine grain canvas, you can easily clean up the surface if you want. For example, the dots were not looking good, it was the dots were looking quite big, so you can use a wet cloth piece and clean your canvas very effectively, because the surface is fine, right? If the surface is rough, then the color will settle in the bottom area of that of your canvas, and it will not be removed easily. So that is a one another advantage. Now we will add some white dots here and some white dots here. This is the simplest, you know, I would say detailing that we are working on, because there are immense possibilities. आप जितना चाहें उतना इसको detailing कर सकते हैं. आप flowers add कीजिए. You can add different motives. आप brush से काम कीजिए. But as the workshop is planned in a way that beginners can easily work, that's why we have selected a simple motif. Right? So this is how you're supposed to complete the vaga of Bhagwan. Everything is done. Then you must do the outlining. Outlining can be done before or after the dotting. Okay, it's your choice. Some of the dots can be given even in the cow. So you can see that here you may add some of the white dots if you want. Use a small dotting tool for small dots. जितना चाहे आप उसमें डिटेलिंग अपने हिसाब से कर सकते हैं. Even red color can come over here somewhere. The horns can have more colors, some more lines if you want, right? Here you can create more, multiple tones can be created. Outlining can be done with black color. Here the outlining is still pending. Okay, so a lot of detailing can be done. Yes, ma'am.
Sorry, I mean handprint was there on the cows.
Handprint.
That some kind of print was there on the cow, which you had in reference.
Yeah.
No,
So
yeah.
that can be done with the brush. It
Brush.
can be done with the brush. So first of all, you may use the pencil and draw those hands, right? And then you can color it with the brush. So anything and everything is possible along with the techniques which I taught you earlier, right? So that is why the techniques are more important than one individual shape. Okay. So
Karan,
use those techniques.
I can see that the cow's front leg is not
Yeah, here, right?
feeling complete. Yeah.
It's there is some I think modification required, because there is some sort of a mat on which the cow is sitting. Thoda unka asan hai, right? So that I need to modify. The modification will be done. I had to do it too quickly because I wanted to show the demo.
Yes.
But I'll just finish it and then I'll send
But
the.
it would be really helpful if you could do it and then send it to us, a reference picture kind of. Like
Yeah,
this.
of course.
Yeah,
After
please.
today's class, I'll send it.
Yes.
Send an image.
Thank you.
Okay. So that was it about today's session. The same thing you have to do over here with red and green. Let me just give you one small demo for these shapes. So you must use your brush and red acrylic color and add in these shapes. You may create multiple tones by adding lighter tones by overlapping these shapes, right? Once after everything is done, you can outline it with black acrylic color, or you may leave it as it is, and later we will outline it with golden color. Okay, that is a part of tomorrow's session. If not tomorrow, then maybe last session next weekend. I don't want to rush into the process, and I don't want to force you to complete the work within this weekend. देखा जाएगा, अगर टाइम बचता है तो हम करेंगे, otherwise we will extend it to the next weekend also, because the classes will help us divert ourselves from the current situation. So that will be a good choice. Okay. Right. So from the top, it's looking somewhat like this. I'll try to complete my work with all the dots, detailing in the ornaments. Right. The dotting can be done even in the dupattas that is there in the tutorial video. Both the cows will be completed by tomorrow. Flowers are already added. So tomorrow our major focus will be to add the details with Kitpas crayons and golden enamel color. So we will do the finishing touches with these two mediums, and if time permits, we will also varnish it. Otherwise, we will do it in the next weekend. Yes, so we're practicing the geometrical designs which are there in the background in some of our traditional Pichwai paintings, right? So how do we practice these designs? So you can create some spirals like this. This can be done with freehand technique, freehand drawing skills can be utilized here. Once these spirals are drawn, you may place some of the circles in the center like this. You may find out a center, exact center of these circles like this. And from the center, there are some leaf kind of a shapes. So more like this, which can be done directly with the brush. Remember that you have to only work around this circle like this. First of all, practice these shapes on a drawing sheet just to understand what can be the process of creating this design like this. And even around this spiral, there are some shapes like this. This is just a rough practice, okay? Later, once we start using the paintbrush, it will become much more finished. As you go close, you may reduce the size of the leaf like this. पहले आप practice कर लीजिए, right? Now, once after the practice is done, you may take your brush, take any particular color. It can be, see, in the reference image, the gray color is done at the back and white color is used to create this motif. Okay, gray color is taken in the background and white color is used for creating these shapes. So you can use your fine liner brush and first of all color the center, which can be done even with the dotting tool because it's mostly circular shape. So this can be done with dotting tool. Now, first of all, know the shape. Okay, so here the shape is going to be begin from the center and then you can increase the size of it. You are using the brush only. No need to use any other tool or no need to fill in the color, just one stroke. The pressure will play a very important role here. So remove the excess of pigment. So see, start from here, very little pressure. Now then apply pressure and then again take out the pressure. Okay. Again, you can start very little pressure, apply the pressure and take out. Again, apply the pressure, take out. Like this.
Sir, this seems a bit difficult.
Of course, this is difficult, but once you practice it now, everything becomes easy. You need to
You are
practice.
coming from fine, but
See, the stability of the hand is required at this stage and which will come slowly. Once you do more practice, once you learn these shapes, automatically your hand will settle to it. And
sir, but in vaga I have put that strokes and it's visible those strokes like red stroke, orange. So how can we put motifs above it?
then you can select something with the dots only, right?
Okay.
It's not a compulsion as such, it's an individual choice.
Yeah, yeah.
You may even create a same tone, and then so this is the shape you might be able to observe in the background of your design, right? Sometimes you can also change the shape. If you are having some difficulties in getting this shape, you can go for shapes like this. This is only possible with a brush. Okay, you cannot achieve this kind of an effect with a marker or any other tool. Can be only possible with the brush, and it'll be much quicker once you get to know the process. It'll be much quicker. आपको बहुत जल्दी से ये effect मिल जाएगा. Now I will add a line in the center.
Karan, actually, this is one stroke painting.
Sorry, yeah, it's one stroke.
One stroke.
That's right. We're only utilizing the brush, the shape of the brush, and we are dealing with multiple. I would say we are maintaining the pressure. When we are looking for a fine line, we are applying very little pressure, and when we want a thick line, we are applying more pressure, and again, we're taking up the brush and reducing the pressure for a fine line. Okay, so multiple possibilities are there. Instead of this, you can also get a print of your brush. Okay, so anything is possible. You just have to experiment and explore your tools. Okay, so basically you will get that kind of an background. Let me just show you. Yeah, so if I zoom it in, the design is somewhat like this. Yeah, the design is somewhat like this. So there are multiple other designs also, which I'll send you in the reference reference image folder, and even in the WhatsApp group. You may practice it. See, this is the background which you were talking about. So gray color is used in the whole background, and then these motifs are added. Okay.
Karan, for that background, you have to give gray color first, no?
Sorry.
For that background, you have to give gray color first, then only you can add this white color flower.
Yes, that's right. First, gray color as a base, and then you can use any sort of a pencil for drawing. See, ideally, Chitrakars directly work with the brush because they have practiced these geometrical shapes multiple times with the brush. Okay, so you will also see that there are some, changes. It's not identical. All the shapes are not identical. So they usually do it with freehand painting skills. You can see that some of the motifs are, changing its shape. Okay, because it's freehand. So they directly use the brush and start painting it, and they try to maintain the flow of the design. See over here, you can see that there are a lot of changes, although it's very small, minute, right? That is why you're not able to see a lot of mistakes, but there are a lot of mistakes. Okay, because this is handwork, we are not expecting similar work like a machine. Okay, this is handwork. Clear? Any other doubts?